federal Liberal Senator Mitch Fifield.
Mitch Fifield, welcome to Weekend Breakfast. This agreement struck with New South Wales is not enshrined in legislation. Should it be, given that politicians of all persuasions have been known to break core promises?
Well, a large measure of the way that Commonwealth-state relations are given effect to is by way of bilateral agreements, and that's what the Prime Minister and Premier O'Farrell announced last week. It's a good thing. I only wish that the Prime Minister had adopted a more constructive and positive attitude sooner at the COAG before last, because Barry O'Farrell got everything that he wanted, and we could have got to this point much sooner.
So why should we take politicians at their word on this funding, given it's not due to begin in 2018? We don't know if Prime Minister Julia Gillard will be around to see that through. We don't know if Barry O'Farrell will be around to see that through. Shouldn't there be some certainty for those wanting the National Disability Insurance Scheme that doesn't just depend on a politician's word?
Well, the prime thing is for the Prime Minister to give funding certainty for the NDIS over the forward estimates in the next budget. To date, only $1 billion has been announced and budgeted over the forward estimates. That's a quarter of what the Productivity Commission said is necessary to establish the first phase of the NDIS. So, given that the NDIS legislation is in the Parliament, we would look to the Prime Minister to provide that funding certainty, but certainly no later than the next budget.
Now, you announced that the opposition would honour this funding agreement if you're elected next year, and indeed you're the government in 2018. When did you make up your mind to honour that agreement?
Well, we have supported each milestone along the road to the NDIS. We supported the initial Productivity Commission work. We supported the $1 billion in the last budget. We supported the 5 launch sites. We support the legislation that's in the Parliament. So it was only natural that we would support the agreement that's been reached between the Commonwealth and New South Wales. And as I say, it's a testament to the hard work of Barry O'Farrell and Minister Constance that they were determined to keep talking and to insist that the Commonwealth met the Productivity Commission blueprint for a Commonwealth state funding share.
The thing is, it's not only natural that the Coalition would necessarily honour the monetary commitment here, because we've had Joe Hockey and indeed your own leader, Tony Abbott, saying that the NDIS was only guaranteeable once the budget was returned to strong surplus. So what's happened there? Is it a surplus and an NDIS still achievable, or can one go without the other?
Well, Tony Abbott and Joe Hockey have been saying the same thing that I have, which is that you need to have the budget in good repair in order to fully deliver significant reforms like the NDIS, and what that means is sustained budget surpluses. We don't see the NDIS as the enemy of a budget surplus, and we don't see a budget surplus as the enemy of an NDIS. We think that you can work towards both an NDIS and a budget surplus at the same time.
But if it's the case that the budget is not returned to surplus and this funding is due to kick in, would it be one or the other?
Well, we aim to have the budget in strong surplus well before the Productivity Commission's target date for a full NDIS of 2018-19. And if you take the government budget papers at face value, then we're going to be in surpluses into the future. If, as we expect, the government don't achieve a budget surplus in this financial year, it's our objective to get the budget back into surplus quickly, and the NDIS and a budget surplus won't be in conflict.
Now, assume you spoke to the Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey before you announced that the Coalition would match this funding, or at least honour it. How did Joe Hockey tell you that the Coalition would pay for it?
Look, Joe is a big supporter of the NDIS. He's supported each milestone along the way, including the $1 billion in the last budget. But Joe recognises, as I do, that governing is all about choices. It's all about priorities. And when we're in office, we're going to focus on that which is essential, like an NDIS, rather than that which is merely desirable.
Sure, but what gets the chop?
Well, we will prioritise, as we did last time we were in government. We will put the focus on those things that really matter, like an NDIS, And look, both the government and the opposition are in the same position. We recognise that the NDIS is something that has to happen, and we look forward to the Prime Minister outlining in the next budget how she intends to fund the NDIS. That really is going to be our starting point, because when we win office, we will inherit a lot of the decisions that the current government have made.
Now, you said that you'll prioritise like you did when you were in government before, but you prioritised budget surpluses then. You were recording huge surpluses and you never once talked about introducing a national disability insurance scheme. Any regrets?
Oh, look, we work towards paying down debt, getting the budget to surplus and significant social reforms at the same time. I don't think any side of politics have particularly covered themselves in glory when it comes to disability. Each side of politics have done a few good things. We came up with the Helping Children with Autism package, which the current government has continued. We introduced the carers bonus. So we did some good and positive things, but I don't think any politician from any side of politics who seeks to pat themselves on the back over disability policy is going to get a good reception from Australians with disability. We all need to do better, and we aim to do better.
Now, Queensland has already signalled that it's interested in striking a similar type of deal with the federal government, like the one that New South Wales signed during the week. If there are more deals struck between now and 2013, will the coalition continue to honour those as well?
Look, it's our intention to support positive developments along the road to the NDIS. I hope that the Commonwealth is able to continue its new constructive approach in its discussions with other states. We do have the 5 launch sites in the various state jurisdictions, which is a good thing and which we will honour. And I hope that the goodwill which we're now seeing is continued in relation to the bilateral arrangements for full statewide rollouts.
Mitch Fifield, we've run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us on Weekend Breakfast.